Fantastic. So I'm here with a customer of mine, Ravi, working at IHS Markit. I'm the CEO of Expero. We're a consulting firm that helps build custom products. Ravi is the CTO for a little company, for a group in a little company called IHS Markit. I probably don't need to spend too much time explaining what they do. Whatever they don't do, S&P is going to do with them later. And we work across a lot of industries, but do a lot of work in capital markets. And we're both here to talk a little bit about a way of building things and a way of making this sort of platform real that we're passionate about. So there he is, from his famous home office. Isn't it pretty? Like we talked earlier about how we need to get people's Wi-Fi to work. I feel like a good video presentation, a good background is like the new suit, right? Like we don't have to wear suits anymore, but you shouldn't come to office looking like a schlub, right? Maybe you should have a good background. This guy's scoring. His boss is even better. Right.
It's good flex.
So we're gonna lay out a little scenario here, just to motivate this. You know, the amount of data that's available in financial markets to financial markets participants is just exploding, right? Traditional desktop products, data, fundamentals, news, but increasingly users are having to factor in new information, right? ESG factors, sentiment, ownership, interest data, right? Banks, buy-side firms, sell-side firms have all kinds of proprietary internal data. So the delivery mechanisms for all that data and this explosion, this democratization of data we see have been evolving too, right? Historically, end users have used like an application to go do it. You know, the Bloomberg terminal is the classic example, right? All-you-can-eat buffet. But now there's a lot of different sources, and so people are navigating them with Python, with Excel, with copy-paste, right? And yet it's not really a recipe for efficiency, right? Like desktops still look like this, and we work with a lot of folks. Yes, they got forced home, but you better believe they called home and got 3 monitors shipped to their house, right? Because as much as we'd all like to be mobile first, we're not there yet, right? So obviously platforms like OpenFin, FTC3 are helping bring these desktop applications together. But you know, we kind of think it's just the beginning of a journey. So talk a little bit about how we can do that besides just adding another monitor or calling someone like me to go write some more code for you, right? So as a framework, what I'll say is, you know, the reality is apps remain relatively siloed, right? Users still have to jump between what I call anchor applications. So apps that are specific to an end user's job, PMS, OMS, desktop terminal, right? Internal system, which we go build all the time. They're wonderful, they're great in that little video, right? Great apps, but separated. Even with sort of context sharing that's available in the FTC3 system, often the experience is pretty one-dimensional, right? I'm kind of bouncing, that Tim likes to say, between lily pads, right? I'm just in my little data lake, I'm hopping from lily pad to lily pad. There's not necessarily an easy way to bring all this together without starting to write code. Now, what's nice about where, is that advancing on us? There we go. Can we make the presentation bigger for a bit? Ravi loves to hear me talk, but you just have to watch him. So I think what we see is that users want to choose their own workflow adventures, and things like notification system are really nice in that I can now have sort of an event and notification, you know, exception-based way to thread my way through the applications to hand off focus from one to the other. That's great. But in our opinion, and in the kinds of systems we see ourselves building all the time for clients and capital markets, there is still a missing middle. And of course, the king of the missing middle is Excel, right? When you're trying to tell a story, you copy and paste it all into Excel, and Excel is awesome. It's never going to go away, and it shouldn't, especially all the cool stuff they're doing these days. But increasingly, I think our clients want to imagine a world where like data from my OMS, my holdings data, my IBOR, price data from all these, you know, cottage vendors that are coming out, other essential data, can all come into the kinds of views we know and love as capital markets participants, right? Even if all this data is available via APIs, I should be able to do this without hiring a big-ass development team. So we'd like to explore some of the ways we see doing this for the remainder of the talk. So I'm going to introduce 2 key concepts that we use in our design and that Ravi and I are pretty excited about. The first of which is, as a firm, as a software developer, as a platform, thinking about how can you share your data, how can you connect it and make it discoverable. So we believe you should be able to compose a story together from data that knows how to fit together. how can I describe each of these APIs that's now available semantically? You're a time series, you're a currency, you're a security. I know how you link together, so I can make a journey, for instance, from my holdings to a fund, to a benchmark, to a constituent, to an overweight, in sort of a PMS style example. There's not a lot of great places to do this, except people try to shove it all into a data lake. And that's fine, that's also useful, but it often lacks kind of a liveness and a usefulness that people need when they're telling a story. The second thing is, and this is what we're going to kind of show, first as a method of development and then with some tools that we've built to share the story, if I have all these data sources and I have that semantic ability to pull them together and join them, to connect them because I know what they mean, now I want to paint them on what I'm calling a common canvas. So instead of the one-to-many, the one-to-one, like let's jump to this app to look at this security, we want to talk about a many-to-one relationship where many of these data sources can paint on the same canvas. Let's put 5 data sets on the same chart, because that's what I need to do to tell the story. And furthermore, maybe how about not every single application on my desktop has its own chart that I have to learn how to use? How about I have one chart that I can integrate when I want to tell a chart-related story? So we're going to talk about some of these canvases: charts, grids, scatter plots, yield curves, news calendars. There's a bunch of them that are specific to our space. So to talk about that in the first instance is Ravi, who we work together with to take his application on a journey from one to many.
Thank you, Sebastian. And good evening, everyone. It's great to participate. I'm super excited to talk about this. Sebastian and I have had many drinks, coffees, et cetera, talking about and salivating about the design patterns and how passionate we are about building and composing these types of products. If you can just forward to the next slide, great. So maybe just a bit of an intro, and over the next few minutes, because Sebastian wanted to take more time demoing, he's given me little. I'm going to just talk about what this means to us. How are we using these design patterns? How it's helping us modernize our platforms and accelerating our new product development. So many of you in the room probably are still responsible or have managed through your career lots of large systems, that have grown old or older as time has gone by, and you'll all appreciate how expensive an affair it is to maintain them and keep them alive. As time goes by, the code gets complex. It permeates into the presentation layer, and God knows where all, and the tech debt, it only goes up and it never really comes down. While you can't sort of take care or remediate or just get rid of any or all of these immediately, there are certain design patterns that help, and composability is one of them. At the heart of it, composability is building blocks. It's Lego building blocks, and the art, of course, is getting the right design for these blocks, because you want them to be as simple and as atomic as possible, but not really any more so. And there's a great mental model. I'll leave you with just the name for it. Look up MECE. It's a management consulting word. MECE. It's pronounced MECE, like I said, which talks about these building blocks really being mutually exclusive but collectively exhaustive. So you have a repertoire. You have an inventory of a full, rich inventory of things that you can, dip into and create and compose things as you wish and as you want. What this really does, as you start using these design patterns, is it decouples your components. It encourages a lot more modularity. It simplifies your design. It simplifies your architecture. And for many of you who've had to maintain large systems, over a period of time, we end up sort of putting duct tapes, connecting T's and L's, and making information flow, forcing things to go one way or another, and it avoids that. Right now, you have components that you can plop in and plop out, and it beautifully just snaps into place and gives you optionality. So with that as the background, if you can go to the next slide, Sebastian. What I wanted to do is show you a couple of screenshots. I didn't have the ability to do a full demo, but show you before and after screenshots of what we've done. What you see on screen right now is how it started in the typical Twitter land. This would be how it started and how it's going. So we'll get to how it's going right after. This is a regular Angular app, tabular in nature, like most in the financial applications are. It updates in real time. It changes color. It's sort of, it's information that's coming in from multiple places. What it doesn't have, and it's hard to sort of show that here, is users have to navigate quite a bit if they want to drill down into additional information. They have to navigate out. They've got to look at other screens, and there is no easy way to bring all of that information together in one place. It's sort of not all seamlessly there. Peripheral or supplementary information that would be very useful in decision making, maybe at fingertips, but not in front of the eyes, not in front of the users where they can do something with it right then and there. So of course, you can argue that the UX could be better and you can solve some of those by better designs. The point is that anytime there's new integrations to be done, there's new third parties that we want to leverage, new data sets that we want to bring in, it's custom development. It's point-to-point integration. It's more of the development. It's more of the testing. It's more of the deployment and all the good stuff that comes along with it. So if you now move to the next screen, this is how it's going. And this is what the new OpenFin sort of powered FDC3 compliant application looks like. A much more information rich, data intense and data dense view. The couple things sort of to call out here are the various widgets that you see all around the periphery are not all ours. There are third-party widgets. These are information that we've gotten other technology teams within our firm to provide. But the beauty of it all is that allows us to compose this quite quickly together, and it gives us really powerful a pattern to bring in new data sets on the fly, so quite quickly on just by configuration, seamlessly, frictionlessly, if you will, in the middle of a user workflow, right? The result is a much more richer, pleasant, and a connected experience for a user. He's not sort of switching around context, going from one screen or one part of the screen to another part of the screen, and then losing that thought in order to make a decision. Much less integration work on the development side, much less work on our side to test and deploy, etc. So that's sort of the gist of it, really. The other beautiful thing is, if I don't like the yield curve that I'm seeing over there, and I like a widget that Sebastian has, because he's got good toolkit and good set of widgets in his offering, I can switch that out pretty quickly. That does not require me to now go in and search and find and build and do development all over again. So I'll end over there. Maybe I'll just summarize with the next slide.
I'm going to have to send someone to your house with a crook to pull you off stage, Ravi. They're flashing at me to shorten up.
Okay, sure. All right. Well, I'll end over there. Composability, shared canvases, and connected data. Building blocks, that's the pattern. Makes it easier, makes it quicker, and super exciting to accelerate product development.
Cool, thank you. So I'm going to talk a little bit about a toolkit we've made to embody some of these stories, and I'm going to skip a little bit of the motivating story in the interests of time, and attempt bravely, stupidly, to do a live demo here on some OpenFin, sort of a pre-MVP glimpse of what we're working on. So very briefly, let's imagine I am a PM manager that's trying to figure out how to tell a story around why I'm holding on to Tesla, even though Elon Musk turned over the apple cart a few weeks ago. And figure out, like, what is my exposure, where am I, how can I integrate multiple data sources to tell a story about whether I should be in or out. So let's hop over to an application. And I'm going to call an audible. I didn't know you do this. Could you turn off these lights, because black is sexy, but it's invisible with all these screens. So what I'm showing here, and I have to kind of operate it a bit remotely here. What I'm showing here, you should recognize this little news widget that showed up in the video there. These are some widgets we've produced that try to exemplify this sort of common canvas mentality. So here, let's imagine a grid that I've put together that is connecting semantically to my holdings data. So this is synthetic data, but here's a set of holdings around a bunch of securities, and I can do the usual things. I can maybe focus on Tesla and see news that relates to Tesla, right? And I can get a performance chart. So here's two common canvases showing kind of what you expect them to show. But I need to understand, what is my exposure to Tesla, like what is it really worth right now? Let me pull up, and here I'm just bringing some other data in semantically that I know how to link to. I've done sort of a low-code configuration that says, hey, there exists a whole set of APIs from a vendor called IEX Cloud, really nice niche vendor, that actually gives me real-time prices. So why don't we pull those in? And yay, the US market's open. So I can see real-time updates here in my work. And maybe I can also come down here and semantically I know that this holding is inside a fund that's measured by, let's say, the S&P, and I can pull up, data from that API. That's all being queried live, right? So now I can see that Tesla is, about 2% of the S&P. And now I've got some nice PM system or IBOR system that shows me like, well, what is the real-time value of that fund? Like right now, and you guys probably can't see this too well, but right now I'm holding 19% of my fund in Tesla. And I can just gather all this data together live here because it's semantically related. These grids are pulling it up, doing the multiplications, showing you what's there, and start understanding what's available. Maybe I actually want to come in and inside Tesla, want to start looking at, say, insider trades, right? Let's, inside there, pull up that. Let's do that. Hey, live code, it doesn't work. There we go. Oh, it's just too dark. I can't see it. A little grid full of insider trades. But let's move over here to the canvas, the other shared canvas. I'd like to be able to tell the same story I'm putting together in this grid on a chart. So let me also say, here's a chart application that comes up by default with what I'd expect, some price and corporate events. But what if I add from the same API, because I know what it is, I know it's got dates and times, and I can put it on a chart. Let me see my trades. So now I can light up my chart with all the trades that are available there. And zoom in maybe just to the last few months, and I can pull up, I can plot it because it's got a date and it's got a price, and so I can plot it on a chart. Let me pull up my historical allocation weighting in my benchmark, or in my fund, excuse me. Let me compare that to the historical weight or currently calculated weight in the benchmark, and the details don't really matter. Please don't buy or sell Tesla based on my recommendation or these real-time prices, but I've now told the story. I can maybe send this view to someone and say, here's what I'm thinking. I've been able to put all this together in a curated way from all the different data providers that I've kind of configured here without hiring a whole development team to build a trade breakdown app. I just told the story on a common canvas with connected data. And since I'm over time, I won't go too far into all the things that I think are sort of exciting about this. There we go. But just leave you kind of with the notion that I think there's a journey we can go on next past the point-to-point hop and simple context passing, where we can make a many-to-one vision and liberate data from these applications into these common places to help our users kind of choose their own adventure. So thank you for your attention. I'll be out there with my business cards too. Cheers.